The town stood silent under the pale moonlight. Empty houses lined the street like teeth in a rotting skull. This was Whispering Pines, a ghost town. No one dared to live here anymore. They said it was because of Shadow. Shadow was a legend, a story whispered by kids around campfires, a tale to make your blood run cold, a black cat with glowing eyes. It wandered the town at midnight. They said if it crossed your path you would disappear. Forever. No one knew if the legend was true. No one had ever dared to find out. Until now. "I don't believe it," Ali said, his voice a nervous tremor in the night. He shoved his hands deeper into his pockets. "Then prove it," Sarah challenged, her chin held high. Her eyes sparkled in the moonlight. Ali and Sarah were best friends. They were always daring each other. But tonight was different. Tonight they were in Whispering Pines. "Okay," Ali mumbled, trying to sound braver than he felt. "We'll find the black cat." Sarah grinned. She knew Ali couldn't resist a dare, especially from her. They turned and walked toward the centre of town, towards the heart of the legend. The wind howled through the empty streets like a mournful cry. Shadows stretched and danced in the flickering light of the moon. Every creak and groan made Ali jump. "Do you see it?" Sarah whispered, her eyes scanning the darkness. Ali shook his head. He wished they had never come. He wished he had never agreed to the dare. Suddenly a pair of glowing eyes pierced the darkness. A low growl echoed around them. The black cat stepped into a pool of moonlight. Its fur was as black as night, its eyes like burning embers. It was Shadow. The cat turned and walked down a side street. Ali and Sarah exchanged a nervous glance. They followed. What else could they do? The cat led them to a crumbling mansion at the edge of town. The iron gates were rusted and broken. The windows were dark, like empty eyes. The whole place reeked of decay and danger. The cat slipped through a gap in the gates. Ali and Sarah hesitated. "Maybe we should go back," Ali whispered, his heart pounding. Sarah placed her hand on his arm. "Don't be scared," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "Let's see where it goes." They pushed open the creaking gates and entered the grounds of the mansion. They didn't see the cat, but they felt its presence. Watching. Waiting. Section 5. Trapped! The front door swung open with a groan. Ali and Sarah stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the silence was heavy. They felt trapped, like they had stepped into another world. They wandered through dark hallways and empty rooms. Cobwebs brushed their faces. The floorboards creaked under their weight. They were lost in the maze of the mansion. "I don't like this," Ali mumbled, his voice echoing in the silence. "I want to go home." "Me too," Sarah agreed, her voice barely above a whisper. But something stopped them from leaving. They felt drawn deeper into the mansion, like they were being guided. Section 6. Midnight. A grandfather clock chimed. 12 times. Midnight. Ali and Sarah froze. They were standing in the main hall, the one they had entered from, but something was different. The air grew colder. The shadows seemed to twist and writhe, and then they saw it, the black cat, sitting at the top of the grand staircase. Its eyes burned like hot coals. It let out a low growl, a growl that seemed to shake the very foundations of the mansion. And then it spoke. "Welcome," the cat hissed, its voice raspy and ancient. "You are trapped." Section 7. The Secret of Shadow. Ali and Sarah stumbled back in horror. The cat was talking. But that wasn't the scariest part. As they watched, the cat began to change. It grew larger, its fur lengthening, its teeth growing into fangs. In seconds, it wasn't a cat anymore. It was a panther, a huge, shadowy panther with glowing eyes and a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. This wasn't just any creature. This was no ordinary beast. This was Shadow, and it was no longer a legend. "I am the guardian of this place," Shadow snarled, its voice booming through the hall. "And you are trespassers." Section 8. The escape. Ali and Sarah knew they had to escape, but how? They were trapped with a monstrous creature in a haunted mansion. Thinking fast, Ali grabbed a rusty suit of armour from the hallway. He pushed it towards Shadow. The armour clattered to the ground, distracting the creature. Sarah grabbed Ali's hand, and they ran. They ran through the endless hallways, the sound of their own screams echoing in their ears. They had to find a way out before Shadow caught them. Section 9. The final loop? They burst out of the mansion, gasping for breath. The night air had never felt so good, but as they looked around, their blood ran cold. They were back at the front gates. the gates they had entered through. Had they been running in circles, trapped in some kind of nightmare loop? And then they saw it, the black cat sitting on the wall, watching them with those glowing eyes. It let out a low hiss, a promise of terror to come. Ali and Sarah were free from the mansion, but were they truly free from Shadow, or would they be trapped in its twisted game forever?